Welcome back to Regional Championship 9 here in Melbourne, Australia. I'm Jim Dowling. I'm joined by Rihanna Milton.
Yep, that's me.
We're back for round 4 out of 8. Still plenty of magic to play. We just had a lunch break, so the players are well refreshed. We're going to see some tight magic down at the tables.
I mean, they could be on a carb snooze.
And we have 2 superstar players that I believe are down at the table waiting for us. All right, here we are. On the right-hand side of the screen, and then the top will be Zen Miyagi-Thorn playing Jeskai Control. And on the left, and then the bottom of the screen will be Ben Tudman playing Jeskai Oculus. Both of these players, professional level, have played at previous Pro Tours, qualified for the current one of them is. One of these players has even played at Worlds.
Looks like Ben's been on coverage before, showing us his hand up to the camera.
Yeah, not working, unfortunately. The cameras are looking at faces right now. I believe these two have a history of playing against each other in high-stakes regional championship matches.
They do. This is almost a repeat for them. So Ben and Zen, they were in the finals of our second Super Series regional championship. With Zen coming out on top of Ben in that finals for Ben to claim second. So this is they've played each other before. I'm sure they've played each other in Swiss rounds in previous RCs as well. And now we're up to number 9 now. So it's been a bit of a gap since 2. And we'll see a rematch between them.
Yeah, as you said, they've probably played in Swiss rounds. You know, when you're at the top level of play, you know who the players in the room are, and you see them at the big events, especially once you're 3-0 like these players are, or if you make it to 4-0, 5-0, you expect to see some of the same faces each event.
Yeah, there's a few surprises sometimes, but it does keep being some of the same names and faces that you expect to see at the top tables.
So let's look at this matchup. We've got 2 Jeskai decks, that's blue, white, red for those playing along at home. With very different strategies here. We see a turn 2 fear of missing out from Ben. And Zen, I'm expecting to see not very much on turn 2.
Yeah, I'm expecting not a lot of permanence, not a lot of play immediately from Zen's side of the field. It's nice for Ben to get a quick fear of missing out.
2 single color lands here. And did a braid. All right.
Deal 3 damage. There goes FOMO.
Taking it out before Ben has the opportunity to untap and have up, we've seen so many spell pierces today and any other cheap interaction that there might be floating around. I don't know if Ben has another land in hand. Oh, there is two there in hand.
Another Canal, there we go.
All right, and the fear of missing out is back.
Yep.
And going to be discarding another land. And drawing, that looked like a Sheltered by Ghosts. Is that in this deck list?
It could be, yeah. Yeah, we definitely do have a Sheltered by Ghosts.
Okay.
Excellent removal and excellent threat. Give you some lifelink.
Really cool that it both removes your opponent's stuff and also makes your own creature kind of scary.
Kind of scary.
And hard to remove.
And Ward 2 is hard to remove. It's often easier to just remove the Sheltered by Ghosts than the actual creature it's attached to.
Yep. Zen here, 2 monocolored lands, able to cast a double-pipped spell. It's important to note this was a mulligan to 6 as well, so yeah. Zen not playing with the full card of hands.
Yeah, not looking like a Jeskai Jack just yet with only red and white.
Doesn't have a 3rd land, unfortunate for him. A Proft's Eidetic Memory coming down.
Yeah.
What does this card do? I see it, and I see that it has a lot of words.
It does have a lot of words. One of those is you have no maximum hand size.
Okay.
Why not? We'll just throw that in there. And it's a huge threat. It's going to buff Ben's creatures based on the number of cards that have been drawn in the turn.
Right, so no maximum hand size, some bad synergy with the Marauding Mako. You can't discard to hand size anymore.
No, we can't get a sneaky discard in the cleanup step. Yeah, it has at the beginning of combat trigger. And just makes your creatures an even bigger threat. Playing a second one to the legend rule just to get the first text, which I think is a loot.
Yeah, I believe you draw a card and may discard a card or something along those lines.
And that's
Oh, no, just draw a card.
just draw a card. And that's a Get Lost from Zen.
This card is so flexible. Get lost.
It's very flexible. Enchantments, creatures, planeswalkers, and turns them into maps, which are a good resource. But often I would, rather have the thing that was destroyed than some map tokens.
Yeah, they're nice value, but they're unreliable. They're not as useful as, say, a clue or even some treasures to rebuy some tempo here. You're never unhappy to get maps for free, but I mean, it's not really free.
It's not super free, and it can easily go to waste. If you activate the map on the target creature and the creature's removed, then you've just lost a map and your creature. So it's not the best feeling.
Speaking of losing two things when you could have lost one, the second Prophet's Eidetic Memory is gone.
It's a legendary.
Yeah, but then the second one was lost to the Get Lost.
Yes, to the Get Lost.
But this whole point is moot because Ben's got a third one.
It just doesn't matter, does it?
I hope Ben knows you can only play 4 of that card.
Look, if we see the 5th one come out, we might have some questions.
And we are exploring. We see a Spell Pierce here. You've got to be stoked if you're Ben, right? You leave that on top. Your opponent's got 2 lands.
Makes the shark bigger. You can make it bigger again with another map if we want. And then a Spell Pierce that we can, 2 lands. You're never going to pay for a Spell Pierce. So.
That's all of the mana.
That's not a nice feeling for Zen, still missing a land drop there and still being cut off from blue.
Yeah, at some point you've just got to accept, hey, this was a 6 and I haven't drawn well. And this is, again, what I mentioned in that first round is just, tap out of this game, let your opponent do his thing. Ben's still got to press all the right buttons and make sure that he's not making mistakes to close out this game.
Yeah, there's definitely a way to come back from not drawing the lands that you need, but I'm not seeing it today, so that's unfortunate for Zen.
All right. Well, we're going to see the players going to the sideboard. A very quick game one there. A brisk 6-minute walk through the Jeskai. Not quite mirror, but the same colours at the very least.
Yeah, we really didn't see a lot from Zen. And if it wasn't open deck list, then Ben would probably be wondering if he's playing against a Boris opponent.
Yeah.
So,
is this FNM? What's up? Well, let's look at the sideboard here. Let's start with Zen's sideboard. I'm seeing some Kutzil's flankers. I'm seeing a Sphinx of the Final Word. That's probably a little big here. Some Tidebenders, maybe a Day of Judgment. Change the Equation, Destroy Evil, and Authority of the Consoles, perhaps. What are you thinking from Zen's side? Which of these takes your fancy?
I definitely think I like Destroy Evil here because it's got the 2/4, so it can either remove a creature that's getting a little, like a Sharko that's getting out of hand, or it can remove the legendary enchantment that we saw as well. So it's kind of can go either way.
Yeah, a little bit flexible.
A little bit flexible.
Do you like Change the Equation here? Being, it's a counter spell that can counter anything sometimes and really counters red and green spells.
It does really counter red and green spells, but they have to be of a certain mana value, if I'm correct. And I just don't think that Ben's playing a high enough... it's 6 or less, actually, not 6 or higher. 6 or higher would be crazy.
Yeah, it's much better.
It's much better than I was first thinking for a second. Yeah, definitely could. It would counter most of Ben's threats in terms of creatures. It would counter the fear of missing out. It would counter the marauding Shaco.
It only hits the red cards, not the blue, not the white.
It doesn't hit the blue and the white. The red is a lot of where the threat is. So it's definitely... Or counter targets both mana value 2 or less.
Yeah, so it's flexible, so it can still hit most of the Oculus deck. Speaking of the Oculus deck, let's have a look at the sideboard here as well. What have we got? Look, we're looking at Fairy Mastermind. We're looking at plenty of removal options, a No More Lies, a Filigree Silex, and a third copy of Sheltered by Ghosts.
The No More Lies might be a good play here to get things into exile instead of into the bin, because the bin is a resource for Zen. Sheltered by Ghosts, another great removal option that is going to protect your creature, making your threat even more threatening.
what do you think about the Fairy Mastermind, just as a flash threat to sort of break the turn order a little bit?
It's a good flash threat to break the turn order, and then has the benefit of having that trigger to draw a card if the opponent starts getting greedy and drawing more cards than you. You know, a 2/1 flyer in the air is pretty good. It doesn't hold a candle to the. There should be a big dragon in Zen's list.
The
Shiko
and the Meringue
and
River
yeah,
region?
like a 6/7 and a 4/5. Your little 2/1's not
Yeah.
gonna hold up.
Not
But
much brawls
it's a
with
great chump blocker at the last minute. You know, if you get your value out of it, you draw your card, you get to chump. Then you know maybe that's enough.
Not much brawls with the Meringue River region.
There's not many creatures in the
so
format.
big.
Look, you can't even kill it with another one.
And it's got flying.
6/7, like you block it with another one, and they bounce off each other, and they're still there. You know.
It's all Tarmogoyfs. And then Shiko as well. I remember Goblin Dark Dwellers being like a chase rare in Standard. And Shiko is like Goblin Dark Dwellers, except really good.
Somehow even better. Goblin Dark Dwellers was great card, and now we're seeing it in an extra few colors and with way more keywords and text.
Yeah, and it can cast anything, not just instants and sorceries. So very cool. The two players just finishing up their sideboarding now. Where are they from? Let's have a look here. Ben Tudman plays at Plenty of Games. That's a local Melbourne store. That's in the CBD. And Zen from Hobbymaster. If I'm not mistaken, that's from New Zealand?
I believe that is New Zealand. And I'm pretty sure that's correct for Zen being New Zealand, and Ben used to be a Sydney player, but now down in Melbourne. So
We've felt the influence of having him here and improving our competitive play for sure. Sydney can't have all the good players forever, you know?
You can't steal all of them.
We'll try.
Canberra already does that too.
All right. So what are we hoping for as, you know, if you're in Zen seat, you lost game one. What's your ideal turn 1, 2, 3 look like here?
Well, we're hoping for more lands.
Okay, great. A third land.
A third
All right.
land is definitely where we want to be.
Yeah,
we
we'll
want to
put
be
that
in
on
all
the
three
menu.
colours. We're probably going to want some really early interaction. So it would be nice to have some removal in the opening, like having a lightning helix or a braid up to get those creatures before they get out of hand. Maybe some like smaller counterspell in like the 3 steps ahead in an opening hand might be nice.
So what you're saying is if we played back game one, but Zen had a 7-card hand and that seventh card was an island, it would have been good? It would have been...
I reckon we might have gotten a bit further than we did. I definitely saw some blue flashing in Zen's hand that he wasn't casting because he couldn't cast it.
Yep.
So it's not for lack of trying, it's just how it ends up being.
All right, we have keeps from both players here. I see 2 copies of Get Lost and a Shiko in Zen's hand. As for Ben, we have a Spire Bluff Canal and a hand face down on the table. Turn 2 for Zen here. All right, we have all 3 colours.
Okay, that's a good start.
Let's go.
2 lands. If we can get a third, then we're already better than the previous round.
And both players have great mana here. 2 colour lands each.
Yeah, we're not just with the basic planes.
And we see a Guardian of New Benalia here. What a cool card. Little bit hard to remove. A discard outlet. We see Zen picking up the card here and reading it. Not everyone knowing every word that is on this card, and there is important words on this card.
There is. I mean, the main one we're looking at is the bottom. The bottom ability is probably the most valid, which is the discard a card for the Guardian to gain indestructible until end of turn. That just gives a discard outlet to discard it at free will. Even if it already has indestructible, it doesn't stop you from discarding more cards. Fortunately, a third land from Zen and a stock up, which should help him craft an even better hand, including more lands for that Shiko that costs 5.
This is stock up again. We're seeing it everywhere.
We're going to see it a lot this weekend.
Except in the round where we didn't have a blue deck on the table. But yeah, on turn 3, just tapping out, shields down. Are you worried about any important 3-drops out of the Oculus deck? Oculus, of course, being a 3-drop, but not really an option here.
No, like the Oculus isn't going to drop here because there's not enough cards in the graveyard to exile. I wouldn't be too stressed about what's coming out this turn, especially because Zen, being control, is going to have, will potentially have the temporary lockdowns in deck that will remove the majority of Ben's threats that he is able to play because they are in that small mana value range.
Sure. And it's the Prophet's Eidetic Memory is the threat that Ben chooses to sneak through while the shields are down. And a Ghost Vacuum. This card is also seeing a lot of play everywhere.
It's a great little sideboard card. It does a lot. It's got the ability to, it's a bit like a Relic of Progenitus in that, you're removing a card, but you're actually getting to choose it. You get to choose target card to exile from the opponent's graveyard. So you get to really pick what threats you're taking out. And also just keep the graveyard thin, especially against an Oculus deck. You're taking a card each round. It's really important to keep it thin so that that Oculus doesn't hit the board.
Yeah, that's and that's always been the case against any sort of deck that's wanting to cast delve spells. And a Poran Oculus is close enough to a delve spell, right?
It's
close enough.
It's. I would argue it's probably better than a Gurmag Angler.
Sure.
Flying starts manifesting dread, it just makes more and more creatures. It's a threat that just makes more threats.
All right, some action at the table. We saw a Fear of Missing Out. We're going to trigger the Prophet's Eidetic Memory. Zen wants to destroy that with Get Lost first, and a Spell Pierce taking out that Get Lost. It always feels so good to Spell Pierce something. It only costs 1.
It only costs 1. And so often, you end up just having 1 mana to pay for it. You don't have that second one. You're like, I should have tapped that extra land, or I should have played an untapped land.
And Ben discarded a Steam Core Scholar to that Fear of Missing Out. That card seems cool as well, honestly.
Look,
I really like the look of every card in this deck.
The deck is a funky deck. It's got every card is a threat in of itself, and the deck functions around just working together to make everything a bigger threat. The Benalia is going to help fill the graveyard so that Fear of Missing Out can reach Delirium. It's a lot.
And even without the Oculus, you've also got Tersa Light Shatter, I believe, as an outlet for, hey, I've got a big graveyard, what can I do with it?
All right, so Beza comes down.
This is the great equalizer, right?
It is. It is the great equalizer. If your opponent's got more than you in many different categories, you get to kind of catch up. If they've got more lands than you get treasures. If they've got more creatures, you get tokens. If they've got more life, you get life. If they've got more cards, you get cards. Like it does everything.
Yeah, I asked before what the ideal first couple of turns look like for Zen. And I think the ideal turn 4, 5, 6, and 7 would be Beza.
Beza.
All the way. Play all 4 of them. Because there's no way that you're behind then. You've certainly caught up. We did see 4 life and 2 fish. Those fish are great. I saw a fish token yesterday. Someone wrote on it, for gifting to their opponent, and they wrote that you can eat for a day. So you gave his opponent a fish.
Teach a man to fish, feed him for a day. Yeah. And there's more things in the tournament in the standard that you gift your opponent a fish. It's not often that you're getting yourself some fish. I think Bez is one of the few cards where you're like, no, I want the fish.
All right, so we do see another Steam Core Scholar coming down here. It's got a nice little body on it, 2/2 Flying Vigilance, and it's also going to draw 2 and discard 2 or maybe 1.
Or maybe 1. Or you can, if you're really feeling it, you could discard 2 instants and sorceries if you really want to discard 2 cards.
Yep. Maybe if you had a shark in play.
If you had a shark in play, you're like, I don't want these.
Yep.
And
we see a second Prophet's Eidetic Memory and a
Seachrome Coast, so a land into the bin.
And I mean, Ben's got 5 lands in play.
Ben does have 5 lands in play, and does that give him Delirium there with the Fear of Missing Out? We have a land, an enchantment, an instant, and a creature. Yeah.
All right. Ben is delirious. We're going to activate the camera effect. It's going to make Ben appear to be crazy on our stream for everybody. Unfortunately, that is not technology we have. Perhaps for the next event.
Little Snapchat filter.
We're going to grow the Guardian of New Benalia, though. And let's talk about the enlist ability here.
It's not an ability you often see. It kind of sneaks up on there. It's probably a good thing that they put the reminder text built right into the card for us.
Just so that anyone who doesn't know it, as we saw Zen there, can just pick up the card
Pick up the
and
card
read
and give it a
see
read.
what it says. Enlist, of course, when it attacks, you can tap another creature that could have attacked and throw its power on there as well. So this fear of missing out, it had the ability to attack, but it's not really going to get through the Beza, so it's going to attack with the Guardian here. And this is a big Guardian.
And there goes a fish.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that is often what fish are used for, is a little bit of a chump blocker.
But you can imagine here, imagine if Zen just plays another Beza this turn. Two more fish, four more life.
4 more life.
And this is all to buy turns so that we can get to the Shiko and the Meringue River Regent.
Yeah, and start really controlling the board.
This game is going much more at the pace that Zen wanted it to, as opposed to game one where, Ben got to do what Ben wanted to do, and Zen just was sitting there watching.
Yeah, look, Zen had plenty of the right removal, definitely a good opening hand, and then the library just, I think, let Zen down there. So.
And that's Magic. Sometimes you just get Magic.
The variance in Magic is part of the game. So.
And it goes both ways.
It does go both ways.
And Zen just passing. 5 lands in play and a pass. What's up?
Could be good, could be bad.
Are we looking at like 3 steps ahead, a Meringue River? It could be a coil and catch.
We could see 3 steps ahead. We could see some removal on Ben's turn. It's going to be hard to remove that Benalia with its ability to discard to give itself indestructible.
Yeah. But is there any exile options here?
I don't believe Zen is running any exile options. The only way that we're going to remove it is with like a temporary lockdown that comes down, in which case that will have to resolve.
Well, what about a Tishana's Tidebinder? It's not going to fully solve the problem. You've still got a big creature.
You could make it a big creature with no abilities.
Yeah.
That's true, but it is still a huge body at this point.
Yeah. Perhaps the cleanest answer to it would then just be Meringue River Region. Let's just reset it.
Just
get it back to a 2/2 with plenty of other words on it. So Ben thinking here, another Get Lost. This card, I every time I see this card, I'm more happy that it exists.
Look, look. When I'm playing Magic, I don't love to see my opponent get lost on my cards. But when I'm playing Get Lost, I'm very happy to use it as such a flexible removal spell.
Yeah, they've pulled out some blank tokens here, but I know there's maps on that table there somewhere. Steam Course, Scholar coming into the red zone, and the Guardian of Nubanala. We'll see whether that Guardian brings along the fear of missing out here. I feel like it's not going to. I'm wrong. It feels strange to enlist here because you know that fish just has the ability to get in the way.
I guess like maybe like enlisting means that like, I mean, you're not going to block with the fear of missing out. So I guess you might as well pump your creature.
And, what if the Guardian had a third ability that players might not have known about, where when it enlists, you scry 2?
That is probably the most notable one in getting to filter the top of your... Scry, we just don't see it that much anymore.
It's true.
It's been so replaced by Surveil. I often forget that we got a Scry.
Yeah. And we do see a Lightning Helix here on the end step. So Zen's passing on 5 lands was for Get Lost and Lightning Helix, as you mentioned.
Yep, removal right there.
All right. And it turns out that the whole turn Ben had 5 cards in the graveyard, not enough for an Oculus. And then in the end step, Zen has thrown another card in there with the Lightning Helix and then vacuumed it straight up. So never at a point where an Oculus was castable from hand. Very tight play from these high-level players.
Yeah.
This is the reason that they're at this invite-only event and doing well.
Definitely is. And that Ghost Vacuum is slowly getting bigger. It does have that... It does have more text than just removing threats from the graveyard. If this game goes on long enough, we might actually get to see it.
We see the Shiko come down and no more lies. Oof. And that's just like spell piercing something. You feel so good about it. You spent how much mana?
5 mana gone. Yeah.
I think I saw, though, a second before Zen cast that Chico, he moved to tap 4 lands. Maybe there's a Day of Judgment hiding in the back there.
Potentially thinking about, or even a second Beza could come down.
Now, maps, you can only crack them at sorcery speed,
You can
right?
only crack them at sorcery speed. So if Ben wants to do it for combat, he'll need to do it before we get to combat.
So we don't get any value of attack, enlist my guy, scry to leave some lands on the top, or some non-lands as you may require. Or even the ability to sort of turn that scry into surveil by mapping cards away. Instead, we're going to fix our hand a little bit here with a Winter Night Stories. Drawing 3 and then discarding 2 or a creature. Choosing not to harmonize this. Oh no, harmonize from the graveyard.
Harmonize from the graveyard. It's just like
good.
flashback. And Ben could still harmonize this turn if he wanted to.
He's drawn 3 cards? Oh, there's no profits anymore. Okay. And there's a Destroy Evil, a removal spell, and that's it. Well. Okay.
I was ready to keep talking about it, and then it's all gone.
Yeah, 2 quick games at the table. We're going to come back into the booth, talk about what we just saw. Welcome back to the booth. I'm Jim Dowling. I'm joined by Rowena Milton. We're here at Regional Championship 9 here in Melbourne, and we just saw a bit of a one-sided match.
It was a bit one-sided. That first game was a little bit. I mean, props to Ben. Ben played excellently, but a bit of a variance game where there's not much coming from Zen.
Yep.
So I guess Ben got his revenge because it was Zen that took down Ben in the second regional championship,
That's
and
true.
now Ben's come back fighting stronger. So
Do you think that this is typical of the matchup, that the Oculus deck sort of, cheap threat, counterspell, keep you off tempo long enough, call it a day?
I mean, that's what it wants to do,
Yeah.
and that's what it did today. It really does come down to who's drawing what and who counters what. And fortunately, Ben really had a lot of the answers today, and Beza's not enough. Yeah.
And that Guardian of Nubenalia, we didn't even need to activate the indestructible ability on it. It's just sort of
It never
was never at risk.
It was never at risk. It got too big too soon, and then the things that would risk it, there's no point casting them anymore. So
I suppose the counterpoint to that is that, the Get Losts could have targeted it and they went elsewhere, and maybe that's because of the ability, Similar to like Mother of Runes. You never actually see a Mother of Runes activate.
no.
It just changes the rules of the game, and you can't do anything
Anything
that
at
would
any
do it.
time could have protection, therefore it has protection. Yeah.
Well, hopefully Zen recovers from that and has a great rest of the tournament, but Ben moves to 4-0. We'll be back soon with round 5 here at the Regional Championship.